Welcome to Have a Day podcast. I'm your host, Brian McRae. Thank you for joining us, and be sure to check out our social media platforms, Have a Day podcast, at Have a Day podcast. Make sure you check out everything we do, and we're having fun here doing these podcasts and bringing in some special guests for you. And today we have a friend of mine I've known for 30 some odd years, Jaime Bluma, a record-saving closer at Wichita State. Then got to the big leagues in Kansas City, cut short a little bit because of injuries, but stayed in the area, coached, doing all kind of charity work, and giving back a lot to the Kansas City community. Even though he played a short period of time in the big leagues, it still made a big impact here. So before we jump into everything, we're going to have some fun with some little trivia, little baseball trivia. We'll start off easy, and we'll move it up and see where you go. So Wichita State, where you went, 1989, won a national championship.
Yep, older brother was on that team.
Who did they defeat?
Texas
Longhorns.
I can tell you the starting pitcher for both sides.
Go ahead.
Greg Brummett for Wichita State, ended up pitching the big leagues a little bit with the Giants, and Scott Bryant.
I remember
was
Scott
more
Bryant.
A position player. He was kind of a two-way
with the
guy.
Reds.
Yeah. Scott Bryant ended up getting a start for Texas that day. So, yeah.
The second trivia question here. Who led the American League in saves the year you debuted?
1996. Man, I don't know. It wasn't Monty, but.
No, it wasn't Monty.
I don't know.
Randy Myers had 31 saves.
Who's he with that year? Baltimore?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because he left the Cubs. He was with me with the Cubs in 95. Okay, number 3, 96, which Kansas City Royal was a team leader in home runs?
96 was Dean Palmer.
Nope. Give you one more guess. He liked to golf a lot.
Chili Davis. That's the one.
All right, number 4. Which pitcher won the Cy Young in 1996 in the American League?
Oh, man, who was good that year? I'll have to think. I got to go Randy Johnson. He was having good years with Seattle at that point. That's
a good guess, but it was a guy that liked to live with the high fastball.
Even back then.
Yeah, high fastball, curveball, basically a two-pitch pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays. Pat Henkin.
I didn't even realize Pat Henkin won a Cy Young.
Yeah, he did. They scored a ton of runs for him.
Nice.
And he won, I think, 21, 22 games. Before you debuted, which Royals pitcher was the last to win 20 games in a season?
Probably Sabes.
Yeah,
be my guess.
In 1989.
I got one right.
Okay, you got more than one right.
Yeah, not bad.
All right, now we'll get to the fun part. Talk about you
it's
a
all
little
fun part.
So, Jaime, you came from Oklahoma, high school, Wichita State, to the big leagues. Did you feel like that period went fast? And what do you remember from your time at each stop?
It was crazy because my older brother had walked on. He went to a different high school than I went to. He was in Duncan, Oklahoma, and then we moved high schools after my sophomore year of high school. So that was after my freshman year of high school. So it was a little bit weird to have been one place your whole entire young life from kindergarten to your freshman year. We moved from Duncan to Owasso. And luckily enough, the town that we went to, Owasso, had a great baseball program. And to look back, I was the first, but there's been 4 other guys from Owasso that have made it to the major leagues. So that's pretty cool. We'll talk about all those guys a little bit later. But to join a good baseball program there, and actually the head coach had ties to Wichita State. My older brother was already at Wichita State. Like I said, they won a national championship in 89. They had gone to the World Series in 1988. So the whole time I was in high school watching Wichita State play, and then myself doing pretty well, kind of opened up some doors for me from a recruiting standpoint throughout the Midwest. But ended up, Wichita State was probably the best program at the time. Luckily enough, I got an opportunity to go there with Darren Dreifert and Shane Dennis and a couple other guys from the likes of the Kansas City or Kansas area. So it was fun, man. Wichita State, we had a good program, and man, talk about hit the ground running. We went to the World Series my freshman year, sophomore year, and junior year, And at the time, really wasn't worried about the draft. We weren't thinking about that.
You were having a lot of fun in college.
Yeah, man. We had good teams. We were always going to Omaha and doing things like that. Yes, we had plenty of guys that were getting drafted and going playing pro ball, but Gene had created such a culture at Wichita State about winning, and it was all about that, and not so worried about, hey, man, I'm just here to get myself to pro ball. It was about doing all the things you could do to help Wichita State win, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons why we won, because we were pretty unselfish. We had a lot of talent. And then my junior year, had a great junior year. We knew Darren Dreifert was going to be one of the top picks in the draft. He ended up going second behind A-Rod. I ended up getting drafted in the 7th round by Houston. Negotiations didn't quite go how I would have liked them to, so I ended up going to Alaska that summer to go play. I'd played in the Cape Cod League the summer before and opened up some eyes up there, and then ended up going up to Alaska. And Shane Dennis and I and Joey Jackson, another guy in our class, we were like, hey, man, let's try to be one of the few programs that's ever gone to 4 College World Series. So we had beat Garcia Parra and Veritek at Georgia Tech our junior year. And unfortunately, at the end of our senior year, they came to our place at Wichita and returned the favor. So they ended up going to the World Series in '94. And then I got a phone call that I had got drafted in the 3rd round by the Kansas City Royals from Ken Gonzalez, was the guy that called me. And he was the scout that had signed Bo Jackson. And so we had a great conversation on the phone. And then he ended up coming to my apartment, and we're getting all the details worked out. And was getting ready to get on a plane. Then, a couple of days later, was going to go to Eugene, and unfortunately, I get a phone call from the area scout was there that day, Dave Hickerson, and he told me that Ken Gonzalez had a heart attack in Wichita the night I signed. So it was not the most ominous beginning to my professional career, but knowing the baseball that Kenny Gonzalez had seen and the guys that he had signed, a guy to pop me that high in the draft as a senior. And
at that time, those guys had a lot of pull. So he liked you. He had to sell you to the Royals.
Certainly.
And he didn't do that without conviction.
Right. And so as soon as that happened, I was like, all right, man, I got some work to do. I'm a senior. Luckily enough, from the Royals standpoint, I go to Eugene. I'd actually talked to one of your good friends and my good friends, DeJohn Watson. I was actually watching some high school baseball in Oklahoma, watching some games, and he had played in Eugene. You had played in Eugene. I had not met you yet at the time, but he's like, man, you'll really like going into pro ball and going there. And you know what? Got an opportunity to go to Eugene, really pitched well. And boy, talk about things going fast. That's when things got sped up a little bit. So I finished that season. I skipped low A. So I skipped Rockford and went all the way to Wilmington. In '94, we ended up winning the whole Carolina League in '94, and so I kind of caught up with some of the guys in the organization: the Larry Suttons, the Mike Sweeneys, the Sal Fasanos, the Bart Evans, some of the top prospects in the organization, Jim Pitsley. And then the next year, it was funny because you had played enough years in Memphis. Memphis switched from their AA being the Royals to Wichita being the Royals AA team. So I ended up being right back in Wichita in '95. So that was a little interesting to go back there, but ended up going back there in '95, pitching really well, finishing that season in Omaha, which was also weird because I just played in so many College World Series, and you go back in Omaha, it's a little bit different playing in Omaha as a Omaha. Well, it changed names so many times back then. It was the Golden Spikes, it was the Royals, and now it's the Storm Chasers.
Yeah.
But that was fun. So that was kind of a fast track, and then '96, go to camp, and ended up pitching, really well that year in AAA. I still had not been to big league camp because I'd only been in the organization for 2 years. But '96, I was pitching well enough in AAA. Was lucky enough to get the call in August of 1996.
So let's go back to your college days. What was one of the main things you talked about? Gene, you talked about what he created there, the culture there. That was one of the premier programs in college baseball,
no doubt,
at that time.
No doubt.
What were some of the things that shaped you there that you still remember today that help you do what you're doing with coaching your lessons?
Well, and I can't give Gene Stevenson props without giving our pitching coach, Brent Kemnitz, all the props in the world. Gene was the head coach, yes, but Kemnitz was the guy that, molded our young minds on the pitching staff side of things. And it was a lot of things with Tim was, a little bit of the mechanical thing and let's do a good job of being aggressive, but more the mental side of things. That's one of the – I can't tell you how many catchphrases that I still use to to this day when I'm teaching lessons that I heard from Coach Chemnitz back at Wichita State. And just, I think the biggest thing with us back then was confidence. Man, he just had a way to be able to breed confidence in guys. Maybe we all didn't have the best stuff, with the exception of Dreifert. He had as good a stuff as anybody we'd ever seen. But just to go out there and have confidence in your ability, obviously learn how to get ahead of guys and strike one, and all the different, man, I remember he had a clipboard that he called his brain. And if you ever caught you looking through his brain when he wasn't there, he'd get all mad at you. But it was all the little mind things that he talked about for all the years. So I know when all of us got done playing, we all looked for a copy of his brain so we could, use some of those catchphrases and some of those things that we learned back then, not only when we got into pro ball, but I've been teaching now for 25 plus years, and just to be able to, breed confidence in young players. And that's the biggest thing, because the reality of it, especially now with teaching younger kids, is you don't know how far they're going to get, but you want them to have a good time when they're doing it, and you want them to be confident and figure out what they're good at. So, I mean, a lot of those things at Wichita State, I can't thank those guys enough, because I wouldn't be where I'm sitting today without the success that I had from all the things that I learned from those guys.
And with the success you had, it started in high school. You came from an area that put emphasis on high school baseball. And you talked about the guys that have played at the big leagues from your high school. What was special about that culture when you were growing up, when you saw what they put, some places the high school baseball didn't care about it.
Well, and that was the thing. I mean, I didn't know anything but Oklahoma high school baseball, but to get to Wichita State and then learn the difference between Oklahoma high school baseball and Kansas high school, we just played so much more because the weather was a little bit better. Right. Not crazy better. It's not like we were in Florida, but man, we were used to playing 30, 40, 50 games a year in high school baseball, and we got the opportunity to travel. We went and played. I remember playing against Alex Rodriguez's Westminster Christian team down in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, on a trip when we were in spring break back then, and to get a chance to go all over Oklahoma and a bunch of different tournaments to go play really good talent. And the talent in Oklahoma back then, there were so many good players, and there are still to this day so many good ads from there. That's what's made us better. And actually, a lot of those guys I ended up playing with at Wichita State or against them at Oklahoma State or Oklahoma. Because Gene and Brent were actually Oklahoma guys before they ended up at Wichita State. Gene being from Guthrie and Brent being from Perry, Oklahoma, near Enid. But that was the difference. I didn't know it at the time. That's just, we knew what we knew in Oklahoma, and we had a lot of good players around us. I mean, I was lucky to move to a town where there was already some talent on that team. And boy, that made me, bust my ass and work a lot harder to be able to get an opportunity to play even a little bit on that team as a sophomore. For a team that had won, the state title the year before at Owasso. And it was just a great culture that Larry Turner had created with talent from that area and did a really good job of it.
At Wichita State, I believe you still have the saves record.
I don't. Actually, Noah Booth. Actually, my brother beat me. I don't think if anybody's beat him. The only record that I still have, maybe his fewest walks per 9 innings, but I have more appearances than my brother, but he ended up beating me in saves.
So he beat you in saves.
And I think Noah Booth got me in appearances.
Yeah. Does he let you know about that?
Not anymore. No. We laugh about it now. It's funny because we all kind of look back at all three of us getting an opportunity to play at Wichita State, how similar our total numbers were as far as number of innings and all that stuff. It's kind of weird how it all turned out that we all got our opportunity to play 4 years down there and none of us played together. So we all had our own little 4-year career down there. So it's pretty cool.
You get to the big leagues, you get your call up in 96. What do you remember about that day? Because my day, when I got called, it was a blur. I don't remember a whole lot. I was in Huntsville, Alabama. I got a call. There were no cell phones at that time.
Right.
My whole thing, I had to get to Kansas City, get on the payphone in Atlanta airport, call my mom. It was a little bit different, but I don't remember much of it.
Mine was pretty memorable, actually. We were playing in Indianapolis, and like you said, we didn't have cell phones back then either, too, so it was all about phone cards. And I was kind of notorious to not being in my room very much. I was either in somebody else's room playing cards, or we were out grabbing dinner, drinks, or doing whatever we were doing. So Mike Jerschley, I remember him calling the room and kind of being shocked that I actually answered the phone in my room. He's like, "Oh, my God, you're in your room." So he's like, "Hey, well, congratulations, man. You got to take the next flight out the morning to Anaheim." So dark 30, get my stuff, get to the airport and get to Anaheim, and you get to the ballpark. And I'll never forget this too, because I didn't exactly know where to go and didn't have the best of instructions. And so I'm dragging my luggage from the right field bullpen from getting dropped off by the cab, and a couple guys for the Angels, Todd Green and Michael Holtz, that I had played against all through college, were rookies with the Angels, and they were yelling and screaming at me. And so I had not been to big league camp, so it was super weird. I hadn't met a ton of the guys on the team. I barely knew the manager was Bob Boone.
You just knew names.
Yeah, I just knew who the guys were. I had played with some of the guys in Omaha, and I get into the office, and Bob Boone takes me aside and says we had a little roster snafu that we got to figure out. We got to figure out if Bip Roberts is going to go on the DL. A lot of things going on, but if some things happen, you'll be activated today. If some other things happen, you'll be on the flight back tomorrow to go back to Omaha. So I said, I don't know. Well, just, we'll figure that all out. And meanwhile, Chris Haney and some of the younger, guys that knew that I was a rookie and a country boy, they ended up entering me in a cow milking contest versus Mike Holtz, one of the lefty relievers and I lost the cow milking contest to Mike Holtz at home plate. And then that game, I remember Jose Rosado started, and he was a super athletic pitcher, and he tried to catch a pop-up by the dugout, and he actually fell into the dugout and tweaked his knee, and the phone rang in the bullpen, and it was go time. So you're like, go in there and get this first guy. Man, I was nervous as hell, and I'd barely been there 12 hours, and the first batter I faced was Rex Hudler, and I know it's a 1-1 count, and Rex hit home run off me, and I actually talked to Rex yesterday, and to this day, he won't let me live that down, so we'll laugh about that. That's how funny the small world baseball is. I mean, that's almost 30 years ago. And what are the chances that he ends up being the play-by-play guy?
You guys in the same city.
Yeah. And we don't live too far from each other. But that's the beauty of baseball. So that was, for me, not a blur. A lot of memorable stuff happened that first day, and just a dream come true, to be honest with you.
Things are going good. You're in the big leagues. You're kind of finding your way. And then you have a shoulder injury. How did that change your mindset, just as a person and as a pitcher?
It was tough, man. I really had dealt with many injuries my entire career at Wichita State. I think maybe had a little bit of an elbow issue, halfway through my sophomore year, but that got resolved without Tommy John or anything like that. So after finishing the 96 season and doing pretty well, and then having the opportunity to, kind of be the closer to start 96 while Montgomery was coming back off his shoulder surgery that he ended up having. Just was the weirdest thing. Spring training had gone really well. We had gone out to Colorado to have an exhibition game before we went to Baltimore to open the season. And I could tell something wasn't right, in the bullpen, just maybe stiff or sore, and, try to get loose, and came into the game and gave up a couple jacks to Dante Bichette and Vinny Castillo, a couple solo bombs, and velocity wasn't there. And I was rattled. And came out, gave up 2 runs that inning. And I remember sitting down in the dugout, and Bruce Keeson was our pitching coach. And I'm in a fog. Like, I don't even know what's going on. And he's like, "Are you okay?" And I just was like,
"I don't know.
I don't think I am." Like, no, I mean, I've never been through something like that before. So if he wouldn't have come over and talked to me, I'm sure I would have ran back out there for the second inning, just because that's
your mindset.
That's what you're supposed to do, man. You want to make this team, you're going to do what you're going to do. So I said, "No, actually, I don't think so. I think something's wrong." So that started the whole, process of rehabbing it and then trying to figure out what was wrong. And then finally, 4 months into that season, as I'm on the big league DL, we decided to go in, and I ended up having a full labrum tear and ended up having shoulder surgery. So that wrecked all of 97, unfortunately. But, set my sights on rehabbing it and getting back and working harder than I ever had before. And, the Royals kept me on the roster that year. And unfortunately, shoulder surgery, anybody that's ever been hurt that listens to this or has played this game, every injury is a little bit different. Not all of them are 100% you're going to come back from. And for whatever reason, mine just didn't take. I'd go through stretches, the next 2 or 3 years between AA and AAA where, man, a couple weeks would be pretty good. And then I'd lose
think you're back.
Think you're doing pretty good. And then reality set in. The hitters let you know whether you're back or not. So I ended up playing for 3 more years and had bought a house here in Kansas City, the end of 97. And so, little did I know that was that. So, you accidentally have to change your mindset a little bit, because we all think we're all bulletproof and invincible, and we think we're going to play for 15 years in the big leagues and, make a truckload of money. And it was, time to, all right, figure out what are we going to do next? What's going to happen next?
You feel like the injury made you a better teacher, a better student of the game?
It absolutely did. I mean, at the time, you maybe think that you're going to coach, but you're ready to keep playing for so long. And then as soon as I got into the coaching aspect of things, back in 2001, really enjoyed that too, especially for all the guys that had been helpful to me. And that's what I'll still say it to this day. I'm only a product of all the guys that coached me. And we all kind of, pick those pieces that made sense for us and try to be the best guy. I get scared whenever I hear a coach, be it it's my way or the highway, because there's so many different ways to play this game. And my whole thing is just about, finding what clicks with each individual kid. And I've probably learned more from the kids over the last 25 years than I did myself when I was playing, because you pay a lot more attention now in the little things that can help a kid out. And, I was always a student of the game and always loved baseball. So I was always trying to soak up as much as I could from anybody and everybody all along the way. So I'm certainly a product of all the guys that had given me advice, whether it worked for me or not. Those are the things that I can help, suggest to another player to give him an opportunity to get better and move forward in their career.
How'd you get involved in staying connected to the game on the amateur level with the adaptive fields and things like that? What was your start when you said, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and start getting into the coaching and the charity work?
So there was an indoor facility that no longer exists out in South Kansas City. It's actually McIntyre's now. Back then it was called Old Ball Game. Marty Patton, that used to be with the Royals. Marty, him and his son, John Patton, that from KU. They were the guys working there. I really didn't know much about those guys at the time, but I had some people in my neighborhood knew those guys, and they gave me an opportunity to come over and teach and coach that first time in 2001 at a facility, and really took to it. And the guys that were working there first, I'm still friends with a lot of guys there today, Steve Nas and Corey Owen and John Patton and Tom Wall, some of those guys that took me under their wing way back 25 years ago. Because I didn't know what I was going to do. That wasn't my plan. I was going to, maybe go back to Wichita State and get my degree and go be a sports psychologist. I was a psychology major, and I really took to it, really enjoyed the lesson part of it. And then, with some of the connections I had made during the game, even back, 2008 or 9, we got a chance to go down to Kissimmee to do some stuff with USSSA. And it's just about keeping in touch with guys that you played with in the game. You do as good a job of that as anybody I've ever met in this game, and I've tried to do the same thing. And that gave me the opportunity to not only do amateur stuff here in Kansas City, but it gave me a chance to do amateur stuff all over the world. So I got to do, between 2010 and 2020, got to do camps and clinics with DJ Wabick and Andrea D'Orio with the WBSC, World Baseball Softball Confederation, all over the globe. So to get that opportunity to grow this sport, it's all about, keeping in touch and making contacts and never burning a bridge, and just being a good ambassador of the game, and learning what you can and passing it forward.
Even you said it earlier, we are a product of the people that came before us, the people that we learned from, and being able to give back, because all the players that we touch and we try to teach and coach, they're not going to make it to the next level. But they may be guys that can do coach at the youth level.
Sure.
They can still be involved in baseball. And that's what I always say is I want to keep my knowledge, be able to keep that going on and pass it down, because these guys are going to be coaching their kids, coaching the high school, may coaching college, and we need to keep baseball people around to be able to pass that knowledge on.
And that's one of the funnest things for me, is to run into former players that I know didn't play pro ball, maybe played in high school, maybe played a little bit in college, that now have children and they're coaching their kids' teams, and you see them when you're out grabbing dinner and they say, "Hey, coach." So they had a good experience. You've got an opportunity not only internationally, but college summer ball, those kind of things in Alaska and all over the United States, to get an opportunity to pass it along. And, maybe you'll have a guy like a Ryan Stanek or somebody like that from this area that gets that opportunity to go to that level, because it's hard, man. It's a 1%er. But I want every kid to have the knowledge that, man, this is a great game. Love it as much as you can. Try to go as far as you can in it. It's no crime if you don't make it to the big leagues.
Right, you can still be involved.
And as well as I do too, is a lot of this is educating parents. Not every kid's the next big leaguer. But when they're,
and nothing's wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. I remember a couple guys like, "Hey, you know what? I'm not going to play baseball in college. I'm going to go be a student." Well, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Go be the best student you can be.
Right.
go be the best, whatever you decide you're going to graduate.
Some of the things that they learn, take some of the traits that you learn from baseball into what you're going to do afterwards.
Yeah, and it's one of the. I mean, that's the thing with a team sport. When you got everybody pulling their weight, that's what the great thing about baseball is. You got 9 guys on the field, different than golf, different some other things that, man, you go out there and get the job done. And a lot of businesses and a lot of people in the corporate world really like guys that have been in a team oriented type thing because they know what those guys are made of.
Okay, now we're going to talk about some of the current things in Major League Baseball, the things that have changed since COVID. Some of the things that we like, some of the things we don't.
Sure.
It's been more than a small sample size now, so we can get a better feel of it. What do you feel the pace of play and the pitch clock?
Love it. We had I've been saying it for years. I know Gene Stevenson, my head coach, was kind of a breaking barriers back in the day, and I think it was either 91 or 92 or 93. One year in the Missouri Valley Conference, way back when, we had the pitch clock, the exact same one they have now. 90 seconds in between innings, 20 seconds, 25 in between pitches. We loved it then, and they also used it in the NBC tournament, which, if you know anything about amateur baseball, that's like the college World Series of the summer down in Wichita. It's been in Wichita forever. And because they used to play baseball around the clock, they had to get so many games in.
Right, they play 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
3 o'clock in the morning, so you always had that pitch clock. So a lot of people that were scared about that had never witnessed it. And I think we're a little bit leery to see what it was, but I think I would say more than 90% of the people that I talk to are happy with it now because, games went from being, 3+ hours every single night to more around the 2:30, 2:40 range.
And just a good pace for everybody.
And it does. And people, if you hear anything, you hear people that aren't baseball fans because it's a little bit boring. We don't think that because we're in it and we know all the little different things going on. But for the average person, when baseball gets a little bit,
they're not doing these changes for baseball people. They're trying to bring your non-baseball people,
your 20 to 30-year-old,
get them involved because that's the money that they're going to want down the road. The rise of the dual sport player or dual way players. Where you're going to see more Otanis. We didn't see much of that.
I hope so, man.
We saw it at the college level. But then when the guys got to the big leagues, they made them pick one or the other. But it seems like now there's some guys that they may let, because of what Ohtani's doing, they may allow those guys to attempt to do it.
Why wouldn't they let them try? And what we're going to see moving forward, how amazing Ohtani is, because it's harder than he's making it look. Because there's a lot of guys, Darren Dreifort being one of the guys that I played with at Wichita State.
He could flat out hit.
He would probably been a pretty high round pick just as a hitter. And, he pitched. And obviously back then he was hitting for himself when he was playing in the National League. And he had a couple games where he hit 2 home runs in a game as a hitter, but they never gave him an opportunity to be, solely a hitter or something like that. And then even over the last few years, I know there was a guy at Virginia a few years ago that was a pretty good player that, maybe didn't get an opportunity or had some surgery or didn't. So it just tells you I am so excited that I am getting to witness the greatest baseball player that's ever been on this planet is playing while we're watching. And you saw it again last night. You saw it last week when he threw 6 innings, struck out 10, and hit 3 home runs. I hope that opens the door for other people to let people try it.
At least let them try. Let them try.
Let them try.
And then the expansion rumors. We've heard about Charlotte, Nashville, Portland, Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
If you're the commissioner, what city do you think deserves to be in next? Or cities? Because they need 2. They want to get to 30. 32 is the magic number.
Sure. Nashville makes sense to me.
Nashville, I think, would be great.
Yeah, I remember playing there way back when, and just to see what Nashville's doing now as a city. It's like, Little Vegas or whatever you want to call it. There's a lot going on there, so I think they would have some traction. I haven't spent much time in Portland, to be 100% honest with you, but I know I've heard great things about Charlotte. I think Charlotte would be a good fit. I haven't spent a lot of time in any of the other, places. Obviously, Vegas is still an opportunity, I think, for baseball.
They got the A's going to be.
Yeah. Yep. They're going to do that there. So we'll see, man. I think Nashville makes sense, but then, finding another one, it'll be maybe a bit of a challenge.
And then the Royals rebuild. They go to the playoffs in 24, just missed a little bit. In 25, offense really didn't click until late. Pitching was outstanding, even though they had a lot of injuries. What do you think of the current state of the Royals and future farm system, what they have coming up? And What are we going to look forward to in the next couple of years?
I think it's great, man. I think we're really trending up. We got a whole bunch of pitchers, man. That's the nice thing, and that was, you just said it. We had some injuries this year from a pitching standpoint that really set us back as far as toward the end of the season. But I think it was the offense, mainly. We ended up finishing over 500 for the first time since the 14-15 seasons, and pitching kind of, saved the day a little bit up and down. So we're going to have strong pitching again. I do hope we go out and get a significant bat in the outfield, and then hope to get a lot more from Caglione and Carter Jensen and some of the young guys that we got coming up through the system. I mean, Miguel Garcia obviously took a big step forward. Vinny Pasquantino show he's a run producer. He's going to do that. Bobby Witt, we've got this Bobby Witt window that we need to do as much as we can while he's here to build around probably one of the best players in the game. So I think the arrow is definitely pointing up going into 2026.
Okay, now some final thoughts for some younger players, younger kids that may be listening and watching and paying attention. If you could go back and talk to your 22-year-old self before your debut, what would you tell them?
I would probably say get a little bit more sleep. Back then, I had a tendency. I had a good time. So maybe nutritionally we weren't as dialed in. It's amazing to me now how specific everything is with weight training and nutrition and sleep and all the different things that you can do. It's amazing how fine-tuned athletes are these days. It's amazing sometimes to look back and see. I know some of the things that I was doing off the field a little bit, staying up late and doing some things we were able to go out and still perform and do. My 22-year-old self, I would probably say, take it easy a little bit. You got enough time, go out there and see what you can do on a ball field a little bit more.
And then what would your message be for young players as far as coming back from a setback, an injury, when you have a goal and you're close to it and then something happens, get yourself back in the mindset to go back towards that goal, because a lot of guys will shut it down after that.
One of the things that I learned from is tell yourself that you're working harder than the next guy. Maybe you're up at 5 o'clock in the morning and you think that you're working harder than the next guy. So that's the thing, and it's hard after an injury. It's hard to even explain to somebody, because after you've been hurt and you feel a little tweak, you're always going to have that fear in the back of your head that you're hurt again. But you were sore before your injury. You know what? Go out there. You got one chance to go work hard and go try to get to the next level. Have a good time doing it, and don't ever look back and say, man, I wished I'd have worked harder when I was back then, because you might only have that opportunity once.
Okay, we have a high school spotlight, and this week's high school spotlight is from Staley High School, left-handed pitcher. He's Iowa baseball, Iowa Hawkeye commit. His name is Brody Earlbeck. Throws in the low 90s. I saw him in Man Johnson League, and he's a two-way guy. He could swing it as well as he could throw it. And being a lefty, he's going to get some offers probably to play pro ball here pretty soon. He may not step foot on campus in Iowa City, but he was a guy that he did some good things in the Man Johnson League this summer, and I got to watch him up close. Charity spotlight. One charity that's near and dear to your heart, and I'll let you go ahead and start with your charity, and I'll go with mine.
So 2014, I started Red, White, and Bluma, which is a homage to my father, was an F-4 pilot in Vietnam, still alive. So we were kind of born all over the place, military brats, all the boys. And so back in 2014, I knew a couple country music guys from Kansas City and knew a couple people to be able to, get some memorabilia and some auction items and put a little concert together. Folds of Honor, which a lot of people are aware of. If you see anything at Quick Trip or Dan Rooney talking on TV, we'll go back to Owasso, Oklahoma. That's where Folds of Honor is located. So we started it back in 2014 to, try to raise some money for Folds of Honor, and it's really, taken on from there. And I have a Blumapalooza event every fall into the winter, and we have a concert and a raffle and auction, and we've been lucky enough to raise $700,000 over 10 years. And now it's not just military. We give to a lot of military organizations here in Kansas City, Veterans Community Project, War Horses for Veterans, Hero Fund USA, but a lot of other great charities in town, including Children's Mercy Hospital, Variety Kansas City, and on and on and on. So it's been really a labor of love to raise a bunch of money for some great organizations that always need our help.
And then one charity that I work with downtown, and I've been doing things there for the last 5 or 6 years is Restart. It's a homeless shelter, and I hang Christmas ornaments and things like that there. And I enjoy working with them. I got started when I was coaching at Park University and taking classes. And one of our mandatory things that we had to do for one of my professor's classes was we had to work there. We had to do some work over the holidays there. And 3 or 4 of us ended up liking it so much that we've done it for a number of years. And we go there every year, and we still drop off clothes and do things like that. So they're doing great things at Restart. They're getting people back on their feet. There are educational courses there. They have kids and adults there as well. So it's something that it's close. It's downtown. It's about 5 blocks from here, from me. And I've been lucky enough to be able to help them out, and I get more out of it, I think, sometimes than they do. So
yeah, those feelings are hard to explain when you're really helping somebody get back on their feet, or helping somebody do something that
people helped us.
They wouldn't, absolutely
along the way, and still continue to when we ask and need things. So it always feels good, especially a community that you enjoy. You're part of this community. You've done a lot. Not only out in the Overland Park area, here downtown, and now with your wife Emily, you guys got a little Airbnb.
The Dojo on Oak.
Yeah, go ahead. You can pitch that a little bit too.
DojoOnOak.com. So yeah, she runs that for her boss down here. So yeah, it's been fun, man. I've gotten to do a lot of different things with a lot of different charities in this Kansas City area, and as I can't believe I've been in my house for 28 years now, 30 years. So
time flies.
Yeah, man.
We're getting old.
It's great. It's great. Can't do enough.
Well, thank you for joining us. You're number 2. Bobby De Niro was number 1.
Bobby D, one of my favorites too.
It's just good to have good baseball people and guys that do a lot for the community. And
thank you, man.
It's like we're just hanging out and chatting like
chill
like we do normally. We're going to invite the listeners to pay attention to what you got going on. And when is your event again?
The event is December 5th. You can find it on redwhiteandbluma.org or blumapalooza.com. There you go.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Have a Day podcast. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, check out everything on all our social media platforms at Have a Day Podcast. We'll see you next week.